This isn't your typical quarterback competition. This is war. What's happening in Cleveland right now isn't a football story. It's a full-blown organizational meltdown, fronted by two quarterbacks, one locker room, and a coaching staff completely out of sync with itself. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. On one side, you have Shedeur Sanders, the ultra-talented fifth-round rookie with the composure of a 10-year veteran and the bloodline of NFL royalty. On the other, Dillon Gabriel, a third-round pick who was supposed to be the guy, until Sanders showed up and made him look like yesterday's game tape. And now, the gloves are off. Literally. Because what started as a simmering tension between two quarterbacks vying for future relevance exploded into a physical confrontation that's shaken the Browns facility to its core. According to team insiders and practice witnesses, Gabriel, frustrated after being outshined in multiple camp sessions, shoved Sanders in a heated moment following yet another touchdown drive engineered by the rookie. Let's repeat that. In front of teammates, coaches, and media members, Dillon Gabriel put hands on Shedeur Sanders after getting cooked in open competition. No trash talk, no flags, just a clean drive, capped by a laser to the back pylon. The sideline erupted. The receivers huddled around Shedeur, and Gabriel snapped. It wasn't just a push. It was a statement, a boiling over, frustration-fueled act that screamed, "I can't take being second fiddle anymore." And just like that, everything that had been bubbling under the surface in the Browns' quarterback room burst into the open. The aftermath? Chaos. Emergency meetings were called. Position coaches split into factions. Ownership got involved. League officials were notified. Suddenly, a routine camp day turned into a franchise-defining moment. Owner Jimmy Haslam didn't mince words. According to sources, he was furious, not just about the altercation, but about what it revealed. His guy, Shedeur, had been professional, calm, focused, and dominant. And now, the supposed higher prospect had not only failed to perform, but had also physically lashed out like an undisciplined rookie. Haslam reportedly demanded that Gabriel be suspended immediately. Some even say he called for the NFL to step in, suggesting Gabriel's emotional volatility made him unfit for a leadership role in any locker room. That's how serious this got. Let's be clear. Altercations happen at training camp. Tempers flare. Pads clash. Words fly. But quarterback fights? Shoves between the guys who are supposed to lead the offense, inspire the huddle, and set the tone for the entire team? That's not tension. That's toxic. And in this case, it's more than just a bad look. It's a red flag the size of First Energy Stadium. Because this didn't come out of nowhere. The jealousy has been brewing. From day one, Sanders outplayed Gabriel. Not in theory. Not in the film room. On the field. In front of everyone. Faster reads. Better accuracy. Stronger arm. Cooler under pressure. And above all, leadership that resonated far beyond his age or draft slot. Meanwhile, Gabriel has been shaky. Overthinking. Misfiring. Grinding through reps with the mechanics of someone trying to not mess up instead of trying to win. And it shows. Shedeur's reps feel like progress. Gabriel's feel like delays. And yet, despite the gap, Gabriel kept getting his reps, kept getting media coverage, kept being protected by coaches loyal to the system they thought they were building. The same coaches who backed his fit over Sanders' flash. Until the flash started beating the system. And now, that whole structure is cracking under the weight of a kid who's just too good to deny. Gabriel's show wasn't about one touchdown drive. It was about the collapse of a narrative. He was supposed to be the smart, steady guy, the cerebral pick, the one who knew the playbook. Instead, he's now the one throwing tantrums in practice, while the rookie QB1 makes the offense believe. And here's the part that should scare every Browns coach clinging to the old plan. Shedeur didn't retaliate. He didn't shove back. He didn't snap. He didn't even raise his voice. He backed up, stared Gabriel down, and walked back to the sideline. That's leadership. That's maturity. That's quarterbacking. And that's exactly why Sanders has so many people in the building, players, trainers, even defensive coaches, rallying behind him. Because when it got ugly, he didn't crack. He didn't fight fire with fire. He stayed locked in, which is more than you can say for the coaching staff, who are now scrambling to rewrite their own depth charts under intense pressure from ownership, players, and media alike. Inside sources say the QB coach has gone all in on Sanders, calling him the most mentally mature rookie I've ever worked with. Meanwhile, the offensive coordinator, reportedly a Gabriel backer from the draft room, is trying to walk a tightrope, urging the team not to overreact emotionally while clearly watching his guy implode emotionally. Too late. This isn't about discipline anymore. It's about direction. Do the Browns want to reward performance, poise, and production? Or do they want to protect their original narrative at the expense of team chemistry? Because let's be honest, keeping Gabriel around right now is a chemistry risk. Players saw what happened. They saw who snapped and who stayed composed. And that changes everything. You can't ask receivers to trust a guy who's reacting like that when the pressure's still in practice. What happens in week 6 after a bad drive? Or when Shedeur's jersey is selling out while Gabriel rides a bench? You think the locker room's going to forget that shove? This isn't a QB controversy. This is a crisis of leadership. And Shedeur Sanders has emerged as the only one handling it like a leader. His skill set is already elite: mobility, arm strength, anticipation, improvisation. But his mind? That's what makes him special. The ability to stay level while being provoked, outplay his peers while under scrutiny, and keep building trust while the staff stalls on giving him what he's already earned? That's franchise quarterback stuff. It's no longer a question of if he should start. It's a question of how soon the Browns stop pretending it's complicated. And if Gabriel doesn't like that, then maybe it's time to move on. Trade him. Cut him. Let him start over elsewhere. Because keeping him around now, after what he pulled, sends the wrong message. It tells the locker room that production doesn't matter. Maturity is optional, and accountability depends on draft position. Shedeur Sanders is not just a surprise success. He's the best quarterback on the roster, and he's proven it under the worst possible circumstances. And while the league watches, while the media speculates, while front offices take notes, the Browns have to decide who they are. Do they protect the old way? Or do they embrace the quarterback who's already leading the new one? Because this moment, the altercation, the reaction, the pressure, this is the inflection point. This is where you find out who's built for it. Shedeur already showed you who he is. Now it's time for Cleveland to prove who they want to be. And if the NFL wants to make an example out of this moment, about maturity, leadership, and what not to do when you're losing competition, maybe the league does need to step in. Maybe banning Gabriel isn't just hyperbole, because what Shedeur Sanders did by walking away was louder than any touchdown, any press conference, or any retaliatory shove could ever be. Let's not understate what just happened in Cleveland. A rookie quarterback, with the weight of a franchise's dysfunction on his shoulders, and a veteran draft pick losing his composure next to him, made a choice that most players, rookie or not, rarely make. He refused to take the bait. No theatrics. No ego. Just control. That's not just rare. That's transformative. And it's exactly why Shedeur is now, in the eyes of more and more people around the league, the Browns' quarterback in waiting. If not already in practice, then certainly in truth. And Gabriel? He made his choice too. His reaction wasn't just about one bad day. It was the manifestation of weeks of internal erosion. He saw the writing on the wall. The cameras were turning. The receivers were switching huddles. The fans stopped cheering his throws and started watching Shedeur's every move. The future was arriving fast, and it wasn't him. Let's talk about that moment for what it really was. It wasn't football. It wasn't passion. It was a breakdown. A very public, very immature response to professional adversity. In the world of quarterbacks, that's a death sentence. No matter how many playbooks you memorize or how many times you say the right thing at the podium, if your emotions can't be trusted in front of your teammates, they'll never follow you. And no one follows someone who shoved the competition when the pressure's on. But people will follow Shedeur Sanders. Why? Because he didn't shove back. Because when his number was called, he delivered. Because when he was overlooked, he stayed ready. Because when he was disrespected, he didn't fold. He focused. This is what it looks like when a locker room silently picks its leader. Not because the depth chart told them to. Not because the owner is whispering in their ear. But because they've seen it, felt it, lived it through reps and drills and eye contact on the sideline. Real leadership is chosen, not assigned. And the Browns? They're in the middle of a mutiny, but not the kind you fear. This one's quiet, respectful, but real. The players know who the guy is. The coaches might still be negotiating egos and expectations behind closed doors, but that locker room already decided. Shedeur Sanders is him. What's wild is that this entire situation started as a long shot story. Shedeur, the 5th-round pick, was supposed to come in, soak up knowledge, maybe get a few preseason drives, and prepare for 2026. That's how this league works. Or at least, that's how it used to work. But from the first practice, he forced a recalibration. He wasn't flashy. He was efficient. He wasn't loud. He was effective. Every snap was handled like a moment of consequence. Every huddle break felt like it meant something. And while everyone else was trying to figure things out, Sanders was already executing. It's not that Gabriel lacks ability. It's that he's not built for this storm. When things are smooth, when everything goes according to script, he's fine. But when the pressure builds, when someone faster, sharper, and more instinctive takes a stage, he frays. And now he's unraveling publicly. You don't need a press release to know what comes next. The Browns are at a breaking point, and the direction they choose here will define their future. If they back Gabriel now, they're backing a culture of entitlement, a culture where failure is excused and poise is optional, as long as your draft status is higher. That's a message that destroys locker rooms. But if they back Shedeur, if they say, you know what, that's the kind of player we want leading this team, they set a different standard. One built on preparation, poise, and performance, not pedigree. And sure, maybe there are people inside that building worried about optics. What will it look like to bench a 3rd-round pick for a 5th-rounder? What if the media runs with a controversy headline, but the media already is? The spotlight is already there. And trying to hide the truth under layers of spin just makes it worse. The truth is, the controversy wasn't started by Shedeur's performance. It was started the moment Gabriel let ego override professionalism. That's not on Shedeur. That's on the system that enabled it. A system that favored draft slots over daily results, pre-camp projections over camp day precision. But now that system is being tested by the one thing it can't ignore, the tape. And the tape says this: Shedeur Sanders is playing better football. He's managing pressure better. He's reading defenses quicker. He's moving the offense more efficiently. He's winning teammates over. Not by yelling or pointing or showboating, but by calmly doing his job better than anyone expected. Even better than some of the coaches are willing to admit. And let's not forget, Shedeur didn't walk in with any institutional support. He didn't have the OC calling him our guy. He didn't have the QB room built around him. He came in with a backpack, a notebook, and a mission. He had to earn every glance, every second-team snap, every media question. Nothing was handed to him. And somehow, he still come out on top. So what happens now? Does the team suspend Gabriel? Maybe. Does the league step in? Possibly. Do the Browns accelerate Shedeur's development plan and give him real preseason reps with the ones? They have to. Not because of the drama, but because of the results. You don't manage a crisis by ignoring your best option. And right now, the best option isn't the quarterback who lost his composure. It's the one who stayed locked in and threw a dart into the end zone while a competitor melted down on the sideline. And let's talk about that phrase floating around now. Ban him forever. Sounds extreme. Sounds over the top. But think about what it really means. It's not about one player never playing again. It's about setting a precedent. About telling every young quarterback, every rookie, every player in the league that how you compete matters just as much as how well you compete. Physical aggression in the QB room isn't just unsportsmanlike. It's unsafe. And when it comes from a position that's supposed to embody leadership, it's disqualifying. You can't be the guy calling protections and motivating teammates if you're also the guy shoving your own depth chart competition mid-practice. So if ban him forever is a rally cry, maybe it's not literal. Maybe it's cultural. Maybe it means ban entitlement, ban toxicity, Ban old school thinking that says draft pick equals leadership, because that's not the future of football. Shedeur Sanders is. The Browns would be smart to embrace that future now, before they fumbled the way they fumbled so many promising quarterback arcs before. This isn't just about Shedeur versus Gabriel. It's about Cleveland versus the same cycle they've been stuck in for decades. Draft the wrong guy, protect him, delay the real leader, lose the season, repeat, or they can break the cycle. They can hand the ball to the quarterback who's earned it in every way that matters. Not the one who shoved his way out of the conversation, but the one who threw touchdowns through the storm and walked away like a pro. And now, all eyes are on Cleveland. Not because they're a championship favorite, not because they've got the flashiest offense or the loudest fan base, but because they've arrived at a familiar crossroads with very unfamiliar stakes. The Browns are being handed something they haven't had in years, a natural leader at the most important position in sports, before they even realized it. The problem is, they didn't plan for this. They didn't plan for a fifth-rounder to come in and embarrass their hand-picked golden boy. They didn't plan for the locker room to start shifting its support so early. They didn't plan for their own quarterback room to implode from the inside out. But that's the thing about talent. It doesn't care about plans. It demands adjustment. And right now, no one is adjusting faster than Shedeur Sanders. While the coaching staff has scrambled to contain the headlines and smooth over fractured egos, Shedeur has quietly kept the main thing. Football. He hasn't taken to social media. He hasn't given any cryptic interviews. He hasn't pushed for more reps publicly, because he doesn't need to. The film is speaking louder than any interview ever could. You can bet scouts from other teams are watching the situation like hawks. They're seeing a poised, technically sound, mentally unshakable rookie doing more with fewer reps than most veterans can manage with a full playbook. They're seeing throws that anticipate breaks, progressions handled with confidence, and touch passes drop between levels like he's been in the league for 3 years already. They're watching that, and they're also watching how the Browns are reacting, because how this team handles this situation will say everything about their future. It's not just about Shedeur or Gabriel anymore. It's about whether the Browns have learned anything from the past, whether they're finally willing to make decisions based on results instead of resume, whether they're willing to disrupt the depth chart to elevate someone who's clearly earned it, even if it costs them some pride along the way. And the irony, the longer they wait, the worse it gets. Because every day that Gabriel is still in the room after that altercation, the more the team starts to question leadership from the top down, not just in the coaching staff, but in the front office. From GM to position coaches, people are starting to wonder, are we protecting the right players? Are we rewarding the right behavior? Because when a guy throws a tantrum because he's getting outplayed and the response is anything less than decisive, it sends a wrong message to everyone. Shedeur earned his spot with work. Gabriel tried to keep his with a shove, and the silence from leadership since then, it's deafening. If Jimmy Haslam is serious about building a culture of accountability, this is the moment to prove it. You don't build a winning team by protecting fragile egos. You build one by backing players who show up and deliver no matter the noise. And right now, Shedeur is outplaying the noise. Let's talk about the real cost of keeping this quarterback controversy artificially alive. The team. This isn't just about the two guys under center. This is about the guys in the huddle, the receivers, the linemen, the defensive captains, the rookies on special teams who don't care about politics. They care about who's going to lead them to a win. They're watching every decision right now. Every rep that Gabriel gets after lashing out. Every moment Shedeur gets passed over despite balling out. And you better believe that's affecting morale. Football locker rooms are made of thin walls and thick memories. When players see favoritism win over fairness, trust begins to fracture. Coaches lose credibility. Messages lose power. And suddenly, what should be a team chasing wins turns into a team navigating drama. The Browns don't have time for drama. They don't have the luxury of another wasted season. They need a quarterback who unites the team, not one who divides it. And again, Shedeur's not the one causing the division. He's the one trying to do his job, the one earning respect from the guys on the field, not behind closed doors, the one keeping his mouth shut, his feet moving, and his throws on target. If Cleveland can't recognize that, they don't deserve him. Harsh? Maybe, but fair. The NFL is a business, and in business, results matter. Composure matters. Growth under pressure matters. And Shedeur's been checking every box. Gabriel had one job: compete, not complain, not collapse. Compete. Instead, when the moment got too big, he lashed out. And he did it in a way that's unacceptable. Not just for a quarterback, but for any professional athlete. Shoving your competition because you're losing? That's not frustration. That's insecurity. That's weakness. And weakness has no place under center. Let's get real. The NFL doesn't wait for anyone. Every week, every practice, every rep is a resume. And Shedeur Sanders is submitting one hell of an application right now. Not just for a starting job, but for the future of this franchise. He's the one leading with discipline, with confidence, with grace under fire. He's showing what it means to lead in 2025 and beyond. Not with a raised voice or a padded resume, but with precision, humility, and presence. And that's why the situation has captured so much national attention, because it's bigger than the Browns. It's about what the NFL is becoming. Do you reward the guy who checks the right boxes, or the guy who is the box? Do you elevate talent because it shows up and delivers, or do you bury it because it wasn't supposed to? Do you double down on ego management, or do you lean into meritocracy? Because in this moment, Shedeur Sanders is doing what few rookie quarterbacks do. He's forcing the system to reckon with itself. He's not asking for the job. He's taking it. One throw at a time, one rep at a time, one leadership moment at a time. And the only question that remains is, will the Browns recognize it before the rest of the league does? Because mark these words, if Cleveland hesitates too long, they won't just lose a quarterback competition. They'll lose a locker room. They'll lose a fan base. And eventually, they'll lose Shedeur himself. And when he's lighting it up somewhere else, poised, precise, leading the right way, they'll look back at this moment, this camp, this shove, this silence, and wonder how they ever got it wrong. They have a chance to get it right. Right now, hand the ball to the guy who didn't flinch. Give the keys to the player who didn't just beat the competition, but beat the noise. Let Shedeur Sanders play.